Hi.
It's been a long weekend. Like, it's been like a long weekend. It hasn't just felt like a 3-day weekend. It's felt more like a 4-day weekend.
Yeah, it felt kind of long. It did.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on here in Texas, it felt like a long weekend. And
Yeah.
I had 7 teenage girls at my house this weekend. It felt like a long weekend.
Well, and I know, obviously we'll talk a lot about what's going on in Texas. I understand there's area like Chapel Hill area of North Carolina also completely underwater. Like there's just some weird weather going on in
Really
the world
weird.
right now.
Mhm.
And then apparently closer to my own neck of the woods, my mom texted me yesterday and she was like, "So how did Chantal work out for you guys?" And I was like,
What?
I read it like a million times and I was like, "I don't know what this means."
What
Like, is
does
there
it mean? What
a
did she
typo? So I wrote back and I was like, "I don't know what you're asking me." And she was like, "Chantal, it was the tropical storm that like hit the coast of South Carolina." And I was like, I was
What?
utterly unaware of this, but I think it was like somewhere north of Myrtle Beach. There was a tropical depression that
Oh.
brought in some rain.
I don't know the difference between a tropical storm and a tropical depression. I'm
I
gonna
don't
have to
really
read
either.
up on that. Like,
I
I
know
don't
a tropical storm is the thing before a hurricane. Like,
Okay.
it's like a severe thunderstorm, and then there's a tropical depression, and then there's a tropical
I was
thunderstorm,
gonna
and then a
say,
hurricane.
is it a depression just like sadder? Like what is that?
I don't know
I
either.
don't know either. I don't
I
know.
don't know either. But what I do know is that Randi Weingarten is one of the dumbest people alive. So
Idiot.
we just are gonna talk about that really quickly
Mhm.
and just, kind of mention the fact that we've been off for the 4th of July and do some 4th of July stuff before
Yes.
we get into the horrible, horrible, horrible story of the Texas floods. So I just wanna show you a story in 3 parts, that come from Randi Weingarten's X account. So here's what she attempted to post initially on the 4th of July. Keep in mind, she is the president of the, teachers union.
Okay.
And she
All right.
said, hoping this
Yeah, 4th.
4th of July, the sun starts peaking with an
Peaking.
A
Mm.
through again.
Oh
All
my
right.
god.
So this is
I think
she's in
it's
charge of
listen,
education.
I think it's okay to say that she's a colossal dumbass, this woman. I can say that, right? We're all on
Yes.
the same page here.
You can
Yeah.
say it. You can
Okay.
absolutely say it.
All right.
And
We've
then she
established that.
got slammed for not being able to spell fourth or through
Or
or peaking
peaking.
or anything correctly. So she
Right.
took that down and she tried again. And she
Oh, here we
said,
go.
and this is one of my favorite pictures of the flag, America with the sun peeking out, a beacon of light. This 4th of July, that's what I am fighting
Oh
for.
my
All
god.
the same stuff spelled wrong again.
You guys, let's just I need to point out this broad makes over $500,000 a year
Oh my God.
from our money. Like to be exact, 569,000 and change. She makes
Gosh,
every year from our money plus benefits. You feel good about
disgusting.
that? Yeah. Like sign me up. I know how to spell things. What the hell?
So again, nothing is better about this version of the tweet. And so she got slammed again and tried again. And so lastly, she ended up with this. Finally, she spelled peaking correctly. Everything else is still a mess.
You know, she Googled it. You know, she got out. She's like, how do I spell peaking correctly? She Googled it. Yeah.
So I don't know what the extra R is in
Oh
fourth,
my
but this is your head
gosh.
of the education union.
How do you get to be an adult, get to be in education, get to make that much money, get to be in that position, and you don't know how to spell words? You
I
don't. How does that
Somebody said
happen?
she spelled Randy wrong.
She totally did. She did. I just like how I don't understand how this happens, you guys. Only in
I
America.
don't.
God bless America.
It's
You can
just
be
an
anything you want to
embarrassment.
be. Right.
And then another photo that I thought of interest from 4th of July weekend was this disgusting photo of Cynthia Nixon. Imagine
Gross.
wearing a hat that says "Make abortion great again."
I can't imagine doing.
What kind of monster do you have to be, you guys?
It's not a flex. You know, that's not any sort of flex, lady. That's just you're disgusting.
So nasty.
It
So
nope,
nasty.
nope, it's never great.
It never was great. It never will be great. It's not great.
You're disgusting. You're a disgusting, lonely hag.
Yeah, it's just awful. So we're going to have a little brain bleach and ear bleach and eye bleach right now because Mike Rowe decided to do a big rant on X about other people's takes of the national anthem. So he's got a pet peeve about how people perform the national anthem when it comes to sporting events or wherever they're singing it. And you know how some people will drag it out and do all the runs and all the crazy stuff for like just way too long. He is of the belief that it should be sung the way it was written, and that if you sing it the way it was written, it should take no more than 1 minute to sing it.
Okay.
So he's a wonderful singer. We got serenaded when we had Mike Rowe on our radio show back in the day.
Amazing.
And so we're going to hear him perform the national anthem the way he believes it should be performed. And I, frankly, am totally down with this version. Here is Mike.
But the main point is we're 249 years old and we're moving things along. So let's keep this thing under a minute, shall we? It can be done. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Now play ball, for God's sake. Also,
that was awesome.
It's easier to remember the words.
Isn't that amazing?
2 seconds to spare. I love it. 2 seconds to spare.
So great.
You guys make sure that you're checking out our socials. We have a link tree, chicksonright.com/links. Our Instagram is causing problems. I don't know what's going on with that, but chicksonright.com/links. Do that. Also, subscribe to this podcast. Please click subscribe and tell a friend. Do that. I implore you. Thank you so much.
And we're not on Instagram today. I must have screwed something up because I had to reload everything and it was just sort of a big fat thing. But how much did you love that version?
It was fantastic.
He's
good. Awesome. Great singer. Great guy. Yeah.
So good. And it just gives you all the patriotic, freedom-loving feelings to hear it sung in that fashion. In fact, since we're on the subject of freedom, maybe you could talk a little bit about the Freedom Project.
I can do it. Well, I mean, since we just talked about Randi Weingarten and how much of a, dummy she is, and this is somebody who represents our educational system, I feel like that's bad, you guys. I mean, it's public schools. My daughter's in public school. I'm not saying that they're all terrible, but you guys, they're failing our kids. I mean, most of them are trying to indoctrinate our kids. A lot of kids can't read, write, or do math, as evidenced by Randi. They can't spell. They're dumbing down the curriculums just to keep enrollment up at colleges. So Freedom Project Academy is a nice alternative to public schools. They offer classical education for pre-K through high school. They have perfected online learning. You can, do either all homeschool with them. You can do a la carte classes with them if you just want to supplement your kids' education. They are fantastic. They offer live, anytime, homeschool, all of it. They're built on Judeo-Christian values. They're dedicated to the mastery of subject matter. And kids that graduate from Freedom Project Academy, you can tell that they have, because they are way smarter than their public school peers. So visit freedomforschool.com. Save 15% off all courses when you use CHICKS15, that code. That's CHICKS15 for 15% off. It's freedomforschool.com. And take back your kids' education. Do it.
I think this will be the last week that I go off camera to stand up and
You
stretch and
think?
like do all the things. I'm hoping so. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I can sit
She's
still
feeling better, you
next
guys.
week. A little bit. I had a new pain crop up over the weekend, which was kind of a bummer. And I was like, what's this all about? And I think it's because I stopped one of my medications too early because I was feeling
Don't
like,
want to do that. You want to take all the meds, all of them.
I know. So I went back on it, the Celebrex, and I'm hoping that
Mhm.
maybe I get back on track. But I know it was kind of a bummer because I was like so good last Thursday and then just kind of took a little bit of a dive.
You're gonna like take a few steps forward and then one step back and then a few more steps forward. That's how it works.
That's what I hear. So I'm trying
Mhm.
to keep the chin up. All
Yeah.
right, let's talk about the horrors that we had happen over the weekend in Texas. I think that the death toll at this point is 82, and there are at least 10 people, including children, still missing, which is absolutely horrific. And you know, there's a lot of people are immediately wanting to put the blame on Trump and like cuts to NOAA and NWA. I mean, all this kind of crazy stuff. We'll get into some of that because it's absolutely ridiculous. But when you think about the fact that this happened in the 80s, a similar situation where kids died at camp near this very same area because of floods, and this is on a very prone to flood area. And when you watch some of the videos of it happening, there is no way that with the speed at which the waters rose, that these people could have gotten out in time. There's just no way.
The Guadalupe River rose almost 30 feet in 45 minutes, you guys.
I mean, that's
it's at 4 a.m.
at 4
This is when
a.m.
people were
Exactly.
sleeping and it's dark. And I just can't even imagine. I can't imagine what these people have gone through.
I know. It's horrific. So just to give you an example, this is a time-lapse video. It's a 30-second long video that shows a lapse of time that is 50 minutes long. And you'll see the clock ticking and you'll see the waters rising. It's absolutely unbelievable. And you can see people are on the roads watching it, moving back. I mean, it was like instantaneous that this
Right.
water, it was just absolutely incredible.
Yep.
I mean,
I know.
30 something feet in 45 minutes. Like if you think about your own height and then how much taller
What
that is
30
than
feet
you,
is. Right.
my God.
Yeah. It's obviously disastrous.
And
Mhm.
so a lot of people
and just a little bit about the terrain there. Like hill country is rocky. There's not a lot of dirt there. So like when it comes to the terrain absorbing water, it doesn't very well. It's
Right.
not like it's just super rocky there. So it doesn't soak in. There's more runoff, which makes it obviously rise more. It just didn't have a lot of places to go. That water didn't.
Well, and then they talked about too, like just looking at the topography of the area, water comes down these tiny channels. When it rains that hard, it's only got like this itty bitty little channel to go down and then all of this flat area. And so the campsites were like right along this flat area, which is why they were swept away so quickly. And then of course, the fact that it happened, in the dead of night didn't help matters. John Cornyn, who's looking at a primary battle with Ken Paxton, had the worst possible reaction to this. Even after finding out that people died, his tweet simply said, "Yikes, be safe out there."
Oh my God, what a freaking moron.
Oh my God. So that was taken down pretty quickly because yikes, seriously, that's going to be what you say is a yikes?
Like,
oh, dude.
John, come on.
It was not good at all. But it was nothing compared to some of the absolutely disgusting comments and videos that were put out by just the worst of the worst people. There's a smattering on your screen right now if you're watching and not listening. But just to give you an example, Texas deserves every flood. God has spoken and it hates Texas. Cry harder. Texas deserves it. This is what Texas deserves. I mean, it's just gross. People are so gross to say these things. I mean, especially about kids. You know what I mean? Like, what is
right?
There's something so wrong with the soul of the country.
Well, there is, but I will tell you that people on our side never did that to blue. We don't do that. We don't do that to people. These are people like this need serious help.
Yeah.
I like, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? There shouldn't be any party lines when stuff like this happens. There just shouldn't be. There shouldn't
Right.
there shouldn't be political parties. There should just be human beings. I mean, this is a natural disaster. And they were, I say warned. They predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain. And then there was more. And then there was a flood. And this was a natural disaster. And it's freaking horrific. And people have died. And so check yourself and check your heart. What is wrong with people?
One of the people whose heart seriously needs to be checked and who's gotten herself pretty famous over this weekend is some chick named Sade. I don't know if she says it Sade or Sade, like the singer, or whatever, however she says it. But she apparently used to work for like some food insecurity program for the city of Houston. And she put out a video. We're not going to play the whole thing, but you'll get the gist of it here. And this went absolutely viral on TikTok. And then, of course, the backlash was swift and hard. Here is what she said.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites only.
No, it's not.
Girls Christian camp.
So not.
They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white only conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right. You ain't getting in. You ain't going.
God.
It's not to say that we don't want the girls to be found, whatever girls that are missing or whatever right now. But you best believe, especially in today's political climate, if this were a group of Hispanic girls, especially with them being in East Texas, it should be most likely Hispanic. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported. They shouldn't have been here in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. So before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, da, 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 da. The parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave, exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I want you to have sympathy for these people. They want you to get out of your bed and to come out of your home and to go find these people and to donate your money to go find these people. Meanwhile, they are deporting your family members. Meanwhile, they're setting up concentration camps and prisons for your family members.
I cannot. The hate, and I just cannot. The racism coming from this woman. First of all, she is 100% wrong. It is not a whites only camp. And if she would have done a little bit of freaking research, she would have seen that that is not the case. So everything that she's saying is just, it's unfounded. It's wrong.
It's not even East Texas.
Right. She's right. Thank you, Mock. But she's completely wrong. My daughter went to Sky Ranch 3 years in a row. It's very similar to this. It is a Christian. These are Christian camps. These are God-centered camps. They don't care what your skin color is. They don't care. Right. This woman does, because she's a racist and a race baiter. But these camps don't care. They just want kids who will come, and then they just want to like learn the word of God. That's it. That's what these camps are all about. What is wrong with these people?
Well, I would like to be able to tell you that after all the backlash, she thought better, but she did not. So first of all, the city of Houston came out to make a statement because they were getting slammed for ever having anything to do with her. She apparently worked for their food insecurity board back in 2023. Her term expired earlier this year, and there was no plan, they say, to reappoint her. They said the city is taking immediate steps to remove her permanently from the board. However, she doubled down. She continues to double down. And and she's posting rant after rant after rant that is is just in response to all these people going, you're psychotic, like you're the worst person ever.
Right.
How can you be so cruel? And people are finding out that she's married to a pastor, apparently.
A white guy.
Oh my God.
She's married to a white dude. So explain that. Like what is it with the hatred of white people and then you're like married to one? I don't get it.
It's insane. Here's just a couple little clips of some of the doubling down that she's done. It's ridiculous.
I don't understand all this, extraordinary hate or whatever. Like, I get that white people are not used to people telling them and calling them out on their racism and telling them about their double standards and how you wouldn't give a damn about other children and how there's children in ICE detention right now who y'all don't give two fucks about. There's no prayers going up for them. But we're supposed to stop the world and stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls.
I can't.
Y'all called the fucking news on me. I wasn't gonna post anymore, but I think it's really funny how my little voice and my little 7,000 followers has garnered enough attention to where y'all want me to make a public statement, and I gave one. I definitely gave one. Wouldn't have been my first time having a news interview. If you look up my name, and I'm sure y'all have seen it, I have tons of news articles written about me and the work that I've done. So okay, she asked me for a statement. I gave her one, and I told her what it was. And I think that this is like, on one hand, it's definitely funny because I'm over here kikiing for sure, but do not negate the fact, all right? These are white people using their white power.
God. Yeah.
Wow.
Can I just point out that the nose ring is now a symbol for mental illness? I feel like it is. Run with it.
Well, and just an example of some of the comments that she makes. There's a commenter who wrote on one of her videos, "Girl, you brought this upon yourself. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from the consequences." And her response was, consequences for what? Maybe it was God's will to wash them lil C words away.
Oh my God.
This is somebody who's married to a pastor?
A white guy. Married to a white guy. And like when she was helping with food insecurity, did she exclude white people? What if white people were hungry? Did she say, well, they're just little C words, I'm not going to help them? Did she do that because she's
vile.
A raging, disgusting, vile racist? Did she do that? And that's the thing. She in her brain thinks, I'm not a racist if I'm racist against white people, because that's not racism. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You are a racist. And you know what?
The worst kind.
Those precious little girls, those precious baby girls would pray for you. That's the difference between them and you disgusting racist hag.
I would love to say that she's the only one, but she is not the only one. We've got another winner to show you after you remind everybody about how important it is for your dog's health to take their Ruff Greens.
You really need to feed them Ruff Greens, you guys. Just like us, all good health starts in your belly. Right there in the belly. And most dog foods, they do not have the key enzymes and probiotics needed for a healthy gut. That's why naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, he created Ruff Greens, and it's a natural supplement packed with enzymes and probiotics, and it supports digestion and immunity and overall well-being. And I have seen the biggest difference with Theo, and I don't want to say his name too loud because he'll come in here and start causing problems. But when we got him, he was just like a shell of himself, and his coat was pretty gross. And now it's shiny and it's soft and he doesn't shed as much. And that is all diet, y'all. Ruff Greens plays a huge role in their coat, their energy, their mood, their disposition. You can try a free jumpstart bag for your dog today at ruffchicks.com with promo code CHICKS. No need to switch foods. You can just use Ruff Greens. You can just add it, sprinkle it on their food. You can go to ruffchicks.com, use promo code CHICKS for a free jumpstart bag. That's a $20 value. Just cover shipping. That's ruffchicks.com, promo code CHICKS. Do it.
Hide your kids.
Hide them.
Hide your wives.
Hide 'em.
Because this woman, there's a gnat. This woman is just as awful. And I'm afraid that there are lots and lots and lots of people who feel the exact same way. And I just cannot understand it. Here is another example of the disgustingness that's out there right now.
Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics.
Oh my
Boom,
God.
I said it. I don't give a fuck. And am I sad? No. Nope, 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 nope. Because more YT people will have to DIE in order for motherfuckers to what? CARE. Oh my God. I said what the fuck I said. I don't give a fuck, and minds are here with me. We voted the correct way.
That's what it's about for her. We voted the correct way, so you guys get what you get.
These people are broken. They are just broken. There's so much hate. I can't even wrap my brain around that much hate. I can't. Based on skin color, and that's the thing that's so crazy is the projection of the racism when they don't understand that they are in fact the racists.
Yes.
How do you get that through somebody's brain? I don't give a shit how much melanin is in your skin. I don't care. And you know who else didn't care? Those precious little girls.
Right.
I can't wrap my brain around it.
It's so, I mean, it's easy to get so disillusioned about like the state of the world, but there are a lot of great hero stories out of this entire, and there always are, right? And anytime we're in the middle of a tragedy, you always hear about the heroes too. And so I know I've shown you some really disgusting people, but find yourself those stories because those are, there's a lot of them, and they're great.
It's like the Mr. Rogers quote, right? Always look for the helpers. Always.
Yes.
It's like, I think about like the, you know, when Gwen would go to these camps, cause she hasn't gone, she didn't go this year. This is the first year she didn't go to camp because of her swim schedule. It's just too crazy. And it would have been 2 weeks this year. She's like, Mom, I can't go for 2 weeks. And she loved camp, loved camp, which is so much like Mystic, right? But the counselors, all teenagers, I think of those teenagers guiding those little girls out. These are just kids themselves.
Yeah. And
they found themselves in positions where they were like, I got to get these little girls out of here. And they did that. These are, I mean, kids leading kids out of these disaster situations, just kids. And then there were first responders. And then the people, the camp leaders who died leading kids out of there. I mean, the one man who got 5 girls out of there and then died at the hospital later on. Yeah. I mean, there are so many stories that, we have to focus on those stories instead of the awful, awful ones. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, the media, not really much help.
No.
CNN in particular was just every chance they got. They on every single news show, they were trying to say that this is a result of cuts that Trump has made as part of the big, beautiful bill or executive orders or whatever to cut staff, and that there wasn't appropriate staffing at the weather stations. This is all nonsense, which we'll show you. But like, here's just an example. The New York Times, the National Weather Service's San Angelo office was missing a senior hydrologist, staff forecaster, and meteorologist in charge, according to Tom Fahey, the legislative director for the National Weather Service Employees Organization. So people will grab onto these positions have been open way before Trump, by the way. This is not as a result of Trump, but this is how desperate people are to put the blame on him and to make it political, which is just absolutely insane.
Right.
And so there were people on the ground in that area who were pushing back on the narrative. If you want to read this tweet from Jerry Olson.
Typical New York Times twisting information to create false claims. I live 6 miles north of Kerrville. Starting at 1 a.m. on the 4th, I started receiving NWS flash flood warnings and alerts, 1 every 2 to 3 hours. I had 9 of them on the 4th. NOAA and NWS did the best job they could, exactly what they're supposed to do, right? Even with the NWS alerts, the people in the Guadalupe River Canyon would have had less than an hour to evacuate. The water rose nearly 30 feet in less than an hour. If people had woken up when the first alerts came out, their only option would have been to climb up to higher ground. They could not drive out of that canyon in an hour. That 2-lane twisty road would have been a death trap. Guadalupe River Canyon is a gorgeous 35-mile drive that has greater than 100-foot cliffs and bluffs on both sides with many low water crossings. That's right. That's right.
I mean,
but people who
idea of the terrain.
Right. But people who don't live there and don't know what hill country is like will all like weigh in and be like, oh, well, I mean, this is obviously Trump's fault.
Right.
How about you suck it? How about you suck it? Because you don't know, and what would you have done in that situation? it drives me insane. There has been flooding in the past, obviously different years throughout history, but the way that this happened, there are a lot of people, that are, speculating. They're like, this was just it was just crazy. Like it was a freak of nature. It was freaky the way this happened because the 30 feet in 45 minutes, I'm sorry, but how do you prepare for that? How do you do that?
You can't. I mean, the only thing that there was not in place, which I suspect will be from now on, is a siren system. The alerts were sent out on time, as they should have been, but apparently there's no sirens, like, especially in the camp area. And of course, Wi-Fi is spotty. So who knows, to the extent that even alerts made it to phones, I don't even know. So I suspect that just given this tragedy, that's going to be the number one thing that does change. But again, that is not the fault of anyone. This was a freak 100-year, 500-year level flood, and no one could have escaped it. I mean, in 45 minutes, there was just no way that, as this person said, you couldn't drive out. So maybe you could have climbed higher, but these kids, some of their tents or some of their cabins were literally on the water bank. I mean, there's no distance between the edge of the land and the beginning of the river. Like they're just right on it. So there was no way. I mean, there's just people trying to put blame on Trump, on the weather service station. I mean, all of that is just so pointless and stupid and unhelpful. I mean, it doesn't change anything. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Right.
And the National Weather Service delivered exactly what they were supposed to. They actually had more staff than they were supposed to on hand because they knew that a flood was coming. So they actually bring on more people during these kinds of events for overtime. Normally they would have 2 people on staff. They in fact had 5. So this claim that they were somehow short-staffed is utter. It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Right. Because I mean, they had in New Braunfels right there. It's bullshit. I'm so sick of people lying just so they can blame this on Trump. It wasn't, if Trump, this is just insane. He's not doing this. He's not controlling the weather,
Right. Right. And, there's obviously a record. There are receipts of the National Weather Service putting out their alerts. They issued a flood watch 12 hours before it began in Kerrville. They also issued multiple flood warnings. I actually saw somebody's, screenshot of their phone that showed all the different alerts an hour apart when it was becoming really, really, really bad. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Again, I mean, if you're looking for ways to improve the communication of these alerts, the only thing that I can think to do is have a siren, have an audible, wake you out of a deep sleep siren that somehow signals campers in particular of incoming floods. But beyond that, I don't know what you do.
No, that's the thing. I think, and I think it takes away from the, the prayer and the response that we should be having for the families that are going through what they're going through right now. And that's why I miss the 80s, man. I miss a time before everybody was listen, I know what we do is politics. I get it. I do. I get that that's our job and that's what we do. But there is such a level of TDS in this country and such a level of divisiveness that this shouldn't be political. It just shouldn't be. It's a natural freaking disaster. And we should be, praying for people who need to be prayed for. And we should be supporting people who need to be supported. And it's some of those clips that you played, obviously it's just a smattering of what's out there. Some of the hate and the vitriol that is, I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime. And I just don't get it. I wish it would stop. It just shouldn't happen in this country. It's unacceptable. It's gross. I wish it would just stop. It's not helpful.
I know. I love this. The last paragraph from Based Bandita said, the tragedy in Texas is nobody's fault. It's just a tragedy.
Right.
People on the left should spend less time trying to find a reason to blame Trump and more time allowing the families who lost everything the opportunity to grieve.
Exactly. Exactly.
Howard Lutnick and Trump were, on a tarmac when this was all going down, and they were asked, was there shortages? Is anything that you have done as part of the executive branch to blame for what happened in Texas? And here is what they said.
Are you investigating whether some of the cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service or in the emergency coordination?
No, they did not. No, they didn't. I'll tell you, if you look at that what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
It is. It is horrible to watch. And then people were like, Trump isn't going there until like later on this week or whatever, because he has to play golf. First of all, that's dumb to say. And second of all, why would he shut down a bunch of transportation there just so he can show up and look at stuff? Right. He wants to make sure that first responders and everybody there on the ground have everything that they need and they're getting their jobs done. And then he'll come in and look at everything. It's like he understands that. You can't win. The guy can't win.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he can't. None of his team will be able to. No. They're going to get blamed regardless.
Right.
I do think, to some degree, and I don't know how you walk this line, but I'm thinking about like meteorologists in general, the National Weather Service, whatever. It seems like they are so anxious for an event. I'm not saying they want these events to occur. Obviously they don't, but they're so anxious to make these kinds of events into giantly terrifying stories that sometimes I wonder if it can become sort of a Peter cries wolf thing where you get so many freaking alerts, even when the danger isn't quite as dangerous as they're making it sound, that you start tuning out some of the actual alerts that are meaningful. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to balance it.
That's a great point, Mock. It's a really, really great point. Yeah, you're right. It's like what? Yeah, because I mean, how many times do you ignore stuff on your phone, like those alerts?
Totally.
Because you're like,
it's
just a thunderstorm.
Right. Yeah. If it's a thunderstorm and you see the notification, you're like, whatever. You don't ever take it seriously. And I don't know I don't know what they need to do to make it.
Yeah, because if like here, believable. If we get a tornado watch, I'm like, it's just a watch, whatever. It's a tornado watch. But if it's a warning, I'm like, maybe I should pay attention to that. You're right. And so maybe they need to figure out how to balance. I agree. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Democrat politicians also making this as political as possible. In fact, it's hilarious because Rowe was on with Al Sharpton, and Al Sharpton was like, what do you think about how basically Trump is to blame about all of this? And Rowe, who can be more reasonable than a lot of his Democrat counterparts, was unfortunately not. And in fact, he even starts his spiel. He's like, yeah, this is super sad. And not to make this political, but
yeah.
And then he like makes it political.
First of all, it's just heart-wrenching and devastating. My heart goes out to the community and all of the families, especially the parents of those young girls. Look, without politicizing this should be a wake-up call to the country. You don't cut funding for the National Weather Service. You don't cut funding for FEMA.
You just politicized it. Without politicizing it, I'm going to politicize it.
Right.
Okay, Democrat. Never waste a tragedy, right?
It's just ridiculous.
Never waste it.
Joe Concha incoming with a message to Rowe and everybody like him.
Warnings 12 hours before this happened. There were flash flood warnings 3 hours before it happened. We keep seeing on other networks talking about how there wasn't the proper staffing at the National Weather Service in that area. They actually had twice as many staffers on as they normally would. So again, if you're going to try to find blame and in the name of accountability, well, at least get your facts right. And at this point, like we see so often, especially in a world of social media, there's a lot of information out there that is not accurate. But 12 hours, 3 hours as far as flash flood warnings, twice as many staffers. Those are the facts.
Nobody will care. Nope. They'll keep.
Of course they're not going to care because they're going to say that the flooding was racist.
Right.
That's what they're going to say ultimately.
Disasters like these should be a reminder that you need to be prepared for every possible scenario. That includes not just food and water, but also medicine.
Meds. Make sure. Yes, they're standing up for your freedom of choice too. Like, remember when Big Pharma, they silenced alternative voices and they dismissed all the medicines during COVID? Remember when they did that? Yeah, All Family Pharmacy does not do that. They make them accessible to you. You can buy one, get one free on ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and others with a doctor's prescription included in fast direct shipping to your door. You can get that like right now. You can get that. Buy one, get one free, you guys. You can visit allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks for the buy one, get one free offer. It goes until July 13th. They have that going on, whether it's ivermectin or antibiotics or hydroxychloroquine. I always have trouble saying that. Or an emergency kit for your family. They have all sorts of pharmaceuticals. No corporate gatekeepers, no big pharma middlemen, no bureaucratic roadblocks. Medical freedom is America freedom, you guys. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks for the BOGO sale.
Buy one, get one.
Allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks. Load up. Do it.
All right, let's take a little rewind because since we've been gone since Thursday morning, essentially, and a lot has happened, we left on Thursday morning wondering when Hakeem Jeffries was ever going to shut the F up on the House floor. He spoke really just to break a record for like speaking ahead of a vote on the bill. And he broke his little record and everybody was like, oh my God, you're so amazing. It did absolutely nothing. And ultimately the bill passed, which was great news for Trump, obviously. And Mike Johnson gave a speech and his was, I think, 20 minutes. So not quite as long as the 8-hour, 30-minute one. But he brought out like this big giant notebook and made it look like he was going to go and read the entire thing just to like kind of dig the knife in at Hakeem Jeffries, which was really cute. Here's just a teensy tiny bit of what Mike said ahead of the vote.
You know, Ronald Reagan said one time that no speech should be longer than 20 minutes. And unlike the Democrat leader, I'm going to honor my colleague's time and be a little more brief than that. All right. I just want to say something that many of us learned when we were children. We were taught, you know, it takes a lot longer to build a lie than to tell the simple truth.
That's right.
Dang. That's right.
I did love that.
I did too.
Love it.
I did. And it's true.
Yep.
It's absolutely true.
They've been lying and lying and lying
Mhm.
so hard about the things that are in this bill.
Oh my God. It's so true.
Out of control. Now, when Trump went to sign it, of course, there was like this big hullabaloo on the 4th of July of the signing, and there was like a flyover, and it was all pomp and circumstance. And Mike Johnson, the reason for my name today, Mike Johnson also gave Trump the gavel that was used to seal the deal on the vote. Here is the moment that Trump signed, and he also got that gavel.
President, this is the gavel we use to enact the big, beautiful bill, and I want you to have that for your
Are we ready? We're ready. Are you ready?
I like him.
I mean, it's
really
hard not to.
I know, right? So great.
And then there was the flyover, and he and Melania were on the balcony of the White House. And it's just amazing. 2 B-2 bombers, which you know is my most favorite thing on the planet. It's just the coolest flyover ever, especially because the national anthem is in the background. Check this out.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Right?
Yes. Can you imagine? You're like, I'm just hanging out on the porch. Just watching. Can you imagine just watching the bombers?
Yeah. I mean, just, so America.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were super snuggly during July 4th. Did you see that?
They were pretty
They're
snuggly.
very snuggly. Yeah, everybody's like, she doesn't like him. I beg to differ.
I think she thinks he's fine.
I think so. I kind of feel like that too. Yeah.
There was also, he gave a little speech from that balcony talking about the big, beautiful bill and really ripping on Democrats for lying about it. Here's a little bit of that.
We've developed a standard line and we can't let them get away with it. Oh, it's dangerous. Oh, everybody's going to die. It's actually just the opposite. Everybody's going to live. This is just the opposite. And I just want you to know, if you see anything negative put out by Democrats, it's all a con job. And they said, and they compared it to just like the con job of Russia, Russia, Russia.
Mm-hmm. I know. They're such liars.
That's all they can do. That's all they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Melania did her version of the Trump dance on the balcony at the fireworks celebration. Here's a little bit of that.
With the hands. I mean, can you
She's
even?
so graceful. Like she
She
can't.
is.
She can't even not be graceful when she's doing the Trump
She's
dance.
so classy. You know, I'd be like breaking it down. That would be us.
Then there's this. Harry Sisson so mad because Republicans danced after the passing of the bill. Republicans were happy, and that really triggered Harry Sisson.
Oh, bless his
So we've
heart.
got a little bit of Harry, but then also another person responding to him, which
Okay.
is perfect.
Most Republicans just voted in favor of Donald Trump's big ugly bill, which
They did? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But Harry Bear, why do you look so upset?
ruins millions of lives.
Oh, millions of illegal immigrants
Right.
can't continue to leech off the government because they don't belong here in the first place because they broke the law when they came into the country and
true.
the Don's deporting them. So yeah, I'd call that a win.
And they danced after doing it. Danced.
Whoa, 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 Hair Bear. You're upset about folks
Hair
dancing
Bear.
to celebrate? Now, some of y'all probably already know where I'm going with this, so let's not delay and go ahead and roll it.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Hair Bear, is that you and Chrissy after a vigorous round of tummy sticks dancing to celebrate Donald Trump's conviction? Yeah, it was. But I agree, the dancing from the Congress members was atrocious. There's really only one dance
really
that's
bad.
appropriate for a time like this.
Hair Bear. Why
I
are you
love that.
gay? Why are you gay?
So gay.
So gay, Harry. Hair Bear. I love Hair Bear.
I know, that's the perfect nickname. I know on Thursday, I think I had mentioned, I think it was Thursday, that I was like, listen, if this thing passes, it is going to be the most successful first 6 months of a presidential term
Yep.
in the history of ever.
You did say
And
that.
man, has it ever been? Like, let's just look at some of the wins. So in addition to the big, beautiful bill passing, the US stock market hit record highs after a really, really, really great job report. People were thinking that the jobs report was going to be bad because they were only looking at one piece of data from ADP's payroll, which not every company uses ADP. Hello.
Right.
So they shouldn't have used that as their sole measure. And it turned out that the jobs report was actually very, very good. Here is, I think we've got a video about it.
And this is good news, much better than expected. An upside surprise on headline payrolls, 147, the estimate 106. The unemployment rate was at 4.2. In our survey, economists were looking for that to climb up to 4.3. It comes in at 4.1. And if you want some high frequency data, or at least some higher frequency data, jobless claims, much lower than expected. Across the board here in the labour market, this is a pretty solid read.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Good stuff. Good stuff right there.
Pretty solid.
Uh-huh.
And so then Wesley Hunt, one of the very good people to come out of the state of Texas,
Right.
he posted a video of CNN, and I can't remember the name of the newscaster, but there was somebody interviewing Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and this reporter had to list out all of the amazing successes that Trump has had, and then ask Debbie Wasserman Schultz for a response to them, which was so much fun to watch. And you guys will die laughing at Debbie's response. Check this out.
Here are some things that have happened. Gas prices down. Economic indicators are decent. Brand new jobs report shows that's much better than expected. And border crossings are down. And now Trump Trump's mega spending bill looks like it's going to be passed by Republicans. How do you Democrats fight back with the wins that Trump can tout?
Well, it depends on how you define wins, Sarah.
I guess. So losing to them is winning? Okay. All right.
It's a definition thing.
That's why
really.
Biden is gone, lady. Please, for the love of God, do something with your hair.
Oh my gosh. That it just depends on how you interpret the word win.
It's like Bill Clinton. It depends on what is.
Yes.
Okay.
Fox obviously more amenable to describing the wins as wins. I think this is Peter Doocy talking about them. Here it is.
Markets, look at this. The all-time highs. S&P 500, 6227. The NASDAQ, 20,393. President Trump also feeling good about border security. He posted this last night. Congratulations, America. The June border statistics are in, and once again, they are the lowest recorded numbers in United States history.
Zero.
The U.S. Border Patrol reported 0 releases of illegal aliens into the country.
I feel like that's better than what Biden did.
I feel like it's a little better.
I feel like that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a win.
I don't know how else you characterize it. There's no
defining
other
it.
way.
Right. That's a definition of a win. 0 illegals. 0.
Scott Bessent, man, he made the rounds this weekend. He was on all kinds of news shows to try to correct some of the mischaracterization of the big, beautiful bill that was taking place on the Democrat side. Dana Bash was asking him about the Medicare or Medicaid work requirements, and he tried to set her straight. I don't know if this got through to her, into her brain, but God bless him for trying. Here he is.
And heard a lot of the concern, including and especially from Republicans who are the most vocal in Congress about the fact that those work requirements are going to be very cumbersome to actually prove, and it will inevitably force the people who need that Medicaid coverage off the rolls.
Well, first of all, the Republicans are not the most vocal on this. It is a group of Democrats who unfortunately seem to think that poor people are stupid. I don't think poor people are stupid. I think they have agency, and I think to have them register twice a year for these benefits that is not a burden. But these people who want to infantilize the poor and those who need these Medicaid benefits are alarmist.
Yeah, but my impression of the Republican Party is that historically you've wanted to cut through the red tape and not create more red tape. But I do want to move on because
no. But we've also wanted to put in work requirements, which somehow that was very popular under Bill Clinton, was popular under President Obama, and this Democratic Party blew out the deficit in 2020, and they never want to bring it back. But work requirements even poll well with the median Democratic voter, maybe not the fringe.
And that's what we're dealing with, is fringe, like you, Dana. You're fringe.
Exactly.
Yep.
He also, I don't even remember what news show he was on, where he was talking about the Democrats' problem being that they don't stand for anything. Their only hope at this point is just to be anti-Trump. Here is Scott Bessent on that.
Democratic Party, a president doesn't stand for anything. They're just against everything. And let's see where the economy is this time next year. I think this bill, over the next year, we are going to see growth like we have not seen. And importantly, it is going to be non-inflationary growth.
Yup.
Yeah, they are just against.
Nobody's taking that into account, the growth.
No they are. Right. You're absolutely right. And they are against everything. I mean, look how they've handled the natural disaster.
Yeah.
In Texas. And then you see them for who they are. These people are gross, man. They're just awful.
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, one of the loudest naysayers about the big, beautiful bill is Elon Musk. So he has decided to move full steam ahead on creating a third party, the America Party, which is not good for Republicans at all. Mario Nawfal described how his two-party system could be broken by Elon Musk launching a new party. He said launching a new party means building a platform registering with the FEC, winning ballot access state by state, and recruiting candidates, all while dodging lawsuits from Dems and Republicans trying to block it. Elon's move: target just 2 to 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts, skip the national circus, hit where margins are razor thin. He's polling millions on X, has an existing PAC, and could crowdsource signatures quickly and easily. If he pulls it off, it could be the biggest disruption to U.S. politics in recent memory and the beginning of a new third party era. And Elon liked the way that that was described and said, not hard, to be honest.
I don't necessarily think that this is going to work for him. And I think that the people who I was looking this weekend, and I think a lot of the people he's polling are foreigners. People who are like, this is a great idea. It's a lot of people like in Pakistan going, this is a great idea. You know, it's like, I don't necessarily think this is going to work. And then who's going to support him? Mark Cuban. The
Lincoln Project.
Right. The Lincoln Project, Krasenstein brothers. I mean, a lot of freaking Democrats are going to. So, I mean, I think people think that he's going to fracture the Republican Party, but I don't necessarily think that that's true. You guys can think that I'm too positive about this, and Mike Pence, Myrtle Morgan, you're right. Get like the Mike Pences of and Anthony Scaramucci, people like that. He's going to pull people like that to be party leaders. I guess, what is it? Was the New America Party is what he wants to call it. Yeah. To be party. Okay, fine. Get those people to be party leaders.
It's not like they voted for Trump anyway.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the never Trumpers and a lot of the, the Lincoln Project guys. Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, go ahead and get those people to be in charge and let them lead your little party. We'll see how well you do. Because at the end of the day, they're freaking Democrats. They're Democrats. Okay. I don't have a lot of faith in this, Mock. I just don't think it's going to do well. And
wants, he's saying that he wants to end the uniparty. He sees this as just one snake with 2 separate heads. And so he retweeted this Planet of Memes post showing a 2-headed snake and wanting to end it. And then he also took the step, the formal step of filing with the FEC. So his form is public, and it's the custodian of records and treasurer is this guy whose name I can't pronounce, but who is the actual CFO for Tesla. So the creation of the American Party is an actual thing. I mean, it's definitely happening. And then I can't remember what this, he's even, Elon's saying, yay, America, when and where should we hold the inaugural American Party Congress? This will be super fun. And, part of this to me is just a continuation of the fight. Like, he obviously wants to get under Trump's skin, and it's working. Right. He's definitely getting under Trump's skin.
He's being a dick. I mean, it's he's being a dick. This is the guy. He's a kid who didn't get what he wanted. He's used to getting stuff that he wants. He didn't get something that he wanted. He's being a brat. I'm really disappointed in this guy. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, you go ahead and do this. But do you really think that this America Party will be like America first, Americans first? It's going to be like super no bloated government. You think that the people that he gets to lead it are going to be any better than the Democrat Party? Do you think, honestly, guys? Because I'm sorry, I don't. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't. And Elon has this grand illusion in his brain that, oh yeah, I'm going to do it better than what the conservatives are doing right now. He won't do it. And I think he's doing this just because he's pissed off.
To me, this is like, I'm just going to toss the Monopoly board because Trump's winning. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Like a toddler, man.
Scott Adams had a more rational, reasonable approach to what Elon's doing, tweeting, if you are an analogy thinker, you compare Musk's New America Party to Ross Perot's third party run and conclude it's bad for Republicans. But that would only be the case if Musk someday backs an American Party candidate for president, and I don't see that in his plan. If Musk only backs individual senators and representatives for his new party, as he's hinted, all he does is give Republicans a new way to get past politics to solutions the country wants and needs, such as deficit reduction. The beta version might be buggy, so expect bumps.
I mean, yeah,
we'll see. We'll
I
see
guess
how this
we'll
goes.
see. I just think
Scott-
I think it's gonna be one of the things he's used to succeeding.
Right.
And I don't think this is gonna succeed. I think
But I
politics.
don't know why he's not understanding the growth that will be created out of this bill. He just will not acknowledge it at all.
Well-
he keeps saying we're just racking up debt, and he will not acknowledge the growth.
I think one of the big differences between he and Trump, you know, from a business perspective, is that Trump understands how to play politics and also be a businessman. And
Right.
it's precisely what we needed for this time in history. Elon can do the business thing, but he cannot see outside. He just can't see
Yeah.
outside of that bubble. And he wants so badly to play politics. He can't do it. He's
Yeah.
incapable of doing it. You have to be able to play the game. Trump can play the game. He can't. All right, well then stay out of it. You know, and he probably should do that.
I do wish that Trump just wouldn't give this oxygen at all. Like, this is one of those things where he should just be like, this is so, it's not even worth his time to respond. However, he responded in a big way. We'll get to that in just a second. First, Scott Bessent he was asked in an interview about this whole new party thing. And he's obviously had tangles with Elon, and here is how he decided to address it.
Look, the principles of Doge were very popular. I think if you looked at the polling, Elon was not. So I believe that the boards of directors at his various companies wanted him to come back and run those companies, which he is better at than anyone. So I imagine that those board of directors did not like this announcement yesterday and will be encouraging him to focus on his business activities, not his political activities.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It was a great way to answer it. It was a great way to answer that question. I think he's absolutely 100% correct. And I actually like the way Trump handled all this. I think he was calm and collected. And he is so Trump 2.0 right now. Like, getting shot in the head made him so centered in everything.
I just wish he wouldn't constantly say that Elon's mad about the EV mandate, because that's not what it's about. He's not mad about the mandate. He has made that clear for years before he was even friends with Trump. And so why that keeps being the focal point, I have no idea, but that's what he keeps harping on. I don't understand it, but that's where his head is about this. But before we get to that, we'll hear from our BFF, Scott Jennings, who also addressed this spat. And here's what he said.
Better than it looks to start a political party. We'll see where they go with it. My humble advice to Elon, who I admire very much, actually, is that you may be dividing the forces of people who want to save Western civilization to the benefit of the people who don't. And so to the extent that this effort would divide conservatives and Republicans against each other, that would be helpful, because it would leave the country to people who want unfettered immigration, who don't share your fiscal views, and so on and so forth. So we'll see where it goes. I sort of hope everybody puts the band back together the way they had it back in 2024, because when everybody was working together, things worked quite well.
Scott's right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. Like, you know what? Don't just think about yourself, Elon. Let's get it together. Like, put your ego in check and think about the country. Because we thought that that's what you were doing. And now you're just pissed off because you didn't get something that you wanted. And, maybe just like take a beat. Think about everybody else in the country, that's not maybe as rich and successful as you. And just think about that for a second.
Yeah, he's just not. And
he's not.
You could tell Scott was just uncomfortable with it, just like I am. Like, I hate when they fight. And it was so much better when they were friends, right? And he was like the first mate, the first buddy.
Yeah, I think Elon, listen, Trump is an emotional guy too. But he definitely is business first. Elon is making these decisions in such an emotional way. And I'm actually I'm really surprised by that, because he has 3 successful businesses. So it is a little surprising to me, because he is so emotional about this. He is so emotional about so many of these things.
Trump was asked about this on the tarmac again, and then he tweeted about it later last night, I guess. But here is him on video.
Starting a third party. I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
He can have fun with that shiny new toy, and then when he gets tired of it.
And he's right. He's right. I just don't think it's going to, I don't think it's going to work.
Are you ready to read his, it's a 2-pager tweet.
Sure.
Okay, here's part
Here
one.
we go. Okay. I am saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even, God, it's been 5 weeks since they've been spatting. I can't believe that. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. The system seems not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. And we have enough of that with the radical left Democrats who have lost their confidence in their minds. Republicans, on the other hand, are a smooth running machine that just passed the biggest bill of its kind in the history of our country. It is a great bill, but unfortunately for Elon, it eliminates the ridiculous electric vehicle EV mandate, which would have forced everyone to buy an electric car in a short period of time. I have been strongly opposed to that from the very beginning. People are now allowed to buy whatever they want, gasoline-powered hybrids, which are doing very well, or new technologies as they come about. No more EV mandate. I have campaigned on this for 2 years, and quite honestly, when Elon gave me his total and unquestioned endorsement, I asked him whether or not he knew I was going to terminate the EV mandate. It was in every speech I made and in every conversation I had. He said he had no problems with that. I was very surprised. Additionally, Elon asked that one of his close friends run NASA. And while I thought his friend was very good, I was surprised to learn that he was a blue-blooded Democrat who had never contributed to a Republican before. Elon probably was also. I also thought it was inappropriate that a very close friend of Elon, who was in the space business, run NASA when NASA is such a big part of Elon's corporate life. My number one charge is to protect the American public. I mean, I thought it was a calm response. He wasn't, he didn't turn around and say, he didn't turn around and go, he's a pedophile. You know what I mean? Unlike some people, you know, just like, this is the thing.
Right. Well,
Just
and
saying.
that's a really great segue into this next story, which is very, very disappointing. And it is that according to DOJ and the FBI, their review of the Epstein files finds no Epstein client list and confirms that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. Axios was the first to get their hands on this memo. We're not going to read the whole thing, but there is a paragraph that says the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So Elon, speaking of, was furious about this and actually was just tweeting up a storm about it. There were 3 different memes that he posted. One was the official Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter, of course, set at 0. And he said, what's the time? Oh, look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again.
I agree with them.
Totally agree.
Them 100%.
And he also responded to Autism Capital, who said, what happened to the client list is on my desk? What happened to the Epstein files part 2? What happened to the magical binders? What a farce.
Yep.
And then Elon said, this is the final straw. Which
I mean,
I don't know what that means.
It's probably, this is like, I'm going to start the party. We're going to like this. I'm sure this is him being emotional. But I mean, I get it. In this case,
No, I
totally get it, because remember when Pam Bondi said, "Oh, I have the Epstein
I have
client
it.
list.
I have the
it right
video.
here. I have it on my I have it." So was she lying then? Is she lying now? Like, who's lying and why are they lying? Who are they covering up? Who are they protecting? I just want to know who they're protecting, because they're lying, you guys. They're lying. Somebody's lying.
I mean, it's clear. Something is really, really sus. So there was also this clown meme that Elon posted with an angry emoji saying, we'll release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There is no Epstein list.
mean,
that's how this has all gone down. And so here's a reminder of what Pam Bondi said just a couple of months ago about the list that we're talking about.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
And then you guys remember the binder catastrophe.
Oh,
What
yeah.
the hell was all this for?
Yeah. Why? Because I mean, those are files, right? Or are they not? What the hell? I don't have.
And she literally said the client list is on my desk. To go from that to saying there is no client list.
Right. So,
What?
So she's a liar. So now I can't trust her on anything at this point. Now she's just a complete liar. You don't get to lie to me. You don't get to do that.
And cash too, because this is a joint statement between the DOJ and the FBI.
Right.
I don't understand it. I just don't get it. And Alina Habba, here's another flashback to her because she'd apparently had her eyes on all of these files too. Here's what she said just a couple of months ago.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
Yeah.
But not so much. Apparently.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any.
It's like we take it halfway. This time we're not taking it at all. It's like they don't even grab the ball. They're not even grabbing it. So
can you believe that? It's so frustrating because what are they hiding?
These people are full of shit. They're lying to us. So the people that we put into office and we trust to get something done and they told us they were going to do it are now lying to us. Republicans, conservatives are doing that. FYI, not okay. And why? And that's a great question. Why is Giselle in prison? If nobody's supposed to be held accountable, why is she in prison? I was thinking about that this morning. Why is she in prison? Why is she in prison?
Well, that part, I think, because when I read that whole like Axios memo from the DOJ or whatever, they're saying there's plenty of evidence and video evidence too, of Jeffrey Epstein abusing tons and tons of girls. They're trying to suggest, I guess, that there's no evidence of other people abusing the girls and that they're also hiding so much of this information to protect the girls' identities. But the thing about Ghislaine or whatever her name is that she helped enlist these girls for Jeffrey Epstein and nobody's denying or questioning that. What they're doing now is just basically saying no one else was involved when we know that that's bullshit.
Of course it's bullshit. Of course it is. I mean, come on. If you think
I don't know why she won't sing. She needs to sing.
Right. I know. I'm surprised she hasn't been suicided. And if you think that's the case, if you think there was nobody else involved, I have Indiana tidal wave insurance to sell you. Seriously, it's insane, you guys. This is absolutely insane. They lie. And listen, and this is where I agree with Elon.
Yeah.
I agree with them on this.
There's just no way. And they released, as part of this memo, they've also released like 11 straight hours of video footage from Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell to show that nobody came in or out, that obviously he committed suicide. There's no question about it.
Right.
Everything about this is so freaking shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes me so mad.
Tracy, that's a great, remember Amy Robach when she started talking about Epstein? I'd love to know what she knows too. She's like had her mouth shut about all this. Cause remember
why?
Right. Why is everybody quiet about this? Cause you know that there are people out there who know exactly what went on and nobody talks. Nobody. There's gotta be somebody that would just say all the things. I guess they're just afraid of getting suicided. I guess.
It sucks, man. This really just
all of it.
Oh God, it just makes me so
all of
mad.
it sucks.
Going a little bit against protocol here in that there is a 3.5 minute video clip that I want to share. I could not cut it. I tried. I couldn't. It's just impossible to cut. And the reason that you need to see the whole thing is because it's that Lulu chick from the New York Times interviewing Mark Rutte, I think is how you say his name. He's the chief of NATO. And he's the guy, remember, that people accused of, like, he's the one that like called Trump daddy, remember, like at the last Hague meeting. So he was interviewed by this New York Times reporter, Lulu Navarro, I think is her name. She is so desperate to put a negative light on Donald Trump that it becomes almost ridiculous. Like, it's laughable how over the top she is. And he keeps defending Trump. And I think, just to his credit, he manages her perfectly. And at the end of it, she's got nothing. And that's why I wanted to share the whole thing, because it's just so representative of how evil and twisted the mainstream media is. Here it is.
Sees it as European nations basically funding their welfare states, you know, giving free health care, giving pensions at the expense of American defense. You think that view is fair?
The second half of the view is fair, but the first half I would not buy into, because I think that, and I'm pretty much confident of the fact that the American president, Trump, very much realized, and his whole team, based on my conversations when I was in Washington in March, when I was there in April, when I had the conversations last week in The Hague, that for the US to stay strong and safe, there is this embeddedness with European security. And of course, working together to keep the Indo-Pacific safe. But I do agree with the second half, because there is this enormous irritant since Eisenhower with American presidents. And I think they're completely right that the Europeans were not paying enough. And that where you are paying on average 3.5% of your GDP on defense, that the Europeans were, well, struggling to get to 2%. So there, he has a big point. And luckily, last week in The Hague, we solved that.
Before we get into that substance, I'd like to talk a little bit about the style, because your interactions with President Trump in the aftermath of that meeting have been called, and I'm quoting here, fawning and orchestrated grovel. I saw someone refer to NATO now as the North Atlantic Trump Organization. It's been a week of a lot of criticism. How do you see it?
Well, let's face what is happening. There were 7 or 8 countries in Europe not at 2%. This was so now it's 5%, a new benchmark. Do we really think that this would have been, we would have been able last week in The Hague to agree to that 5% if Trump would not have been re-elected as president of the United States? Nope. So I think when somebody deserves praise, that praise should be given. And President Trump deserves all the praise, because without his leadership, without him being re-elected as president of the United States, the 2% this year and the 5% in 2035, we would never, ever, ever have been able to achieve agreement on this.
I want to get to what exactly these numbers are and what they mean, but there are these two camps after this summit. You know, one said that you did what you did to sort of pacify President Trump's ego and have a successful summit, which you did. And the other says that while our president likes flattery, he ultimately sees it as weakness.
Wow.
And it only appeases him for so long. I'm sure you've seen all this commentary afterwards.
I was 14 years Prime Minister of the Netherlands, so I know about criticism, but I don't care. In the end, I need to do my job. I have to keep the whole of NATO together. And the biggest ally is the United States. That biggest ally has paid since Eisenhower more than the Europeans. And now for the first time in 65 years, we will equalize between what the US is paying and what the Europeans are paying. So, and without Trump, that would not have happened.
Did you mind the text message that you sent him being made public by him?
Not at all, because what was in the text message is exactly as I see it. One, that he did an excellent job on Iran with the bombing of the nuclear facility. And as I said in that text message, you are now flying into another big success, which is a NATO summit, which will commit to 5% defense spending. And this is transformational.
All right.
She 4 times she wanted him to say something bad about Trump.
And he was
just like,
he was
I'm
like,
not playing your
bitch,
stupid
please.
game, Lulu.
He's like, and why are you wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses? Stop it.
I mean, that's pathetic. That is pathetic journalism right there. My God.
She's representative of a lot of them.
Yeah.
This
just
is what they
out
want.
of control.
Mhm.
Out of control. All right, let's get to some My Pillow Talks. We've got a fake AI news report, which is my new favorite one. Check this out.
News. The president has decided to change the name of New York City. New York City will now be known as Poopy Smelly Liberal P-ville.
Accurate. I feel like this is accurate.
Best new name ever.
It's a great new name. This is why we don't like to go there, you guys, because it smells.
And everybody is so close together.
Oh, God, get away from me. Get away.
I don't like it. Dislike. Also, we have a story of a first date, and this is a woman who uses dating apps. So she's putting this story out there, and I thought this was so funny.
I recently went on. I went out with a guy who had recently come out of a relationship, and so I was like the third or fourth first date that he'd been on from the internet. And as we're talking, he's like, I'm really impressed with women nowadays and how open they are about everything. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, you know, like how open they are about their diseases and their, you know, what they're dealing with. And I was like, okay. And he said sometimes they like even put it in their profile. And I'm thinking like,
oh my God,
ADHD, neurodivergence. And he was like, I've been on 2 dates with women who have cancer. And I looked at him and I said, that's their star sign. Those women don't have cancer.
Oh my God.
They were born in July.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine this guy's thinking I'm going out with someone who has cancer, but no, they just are cancer.
Mock is a cancer. Mock is a
I'm
cancer. She's a cancer.
And I was not born in July. I think
No,
it
she's a
starts
June
what,
baby.
like June 22nd
Right.
or 23rd or something.
Mock is a cancer.
Yeah.
I am a Virgo, if anybody needs to know. Right. Oh my God. Wow.
So great.
Wow.
And then you're just like, you're too dumb to date. You know what I mean? You're
Can't
like,
date
you can't
you.
go out
I
with
can't.
that guy again.
Right.
You
You
can't.
can't. You can't. Do you remember when remember that date I went on with that one guy? Well, I told you about it because I was married. Like I was just freshly married when you and I met. And then I told you about this one guy I went on a date with. And it was kind of like a blind date. And I sat down with him and he looked normal. He seemed normal. And then we started talking about music. And I asked him, I'm like, what's your favorite band? And and who are the kids that sang Mbop?
Hanson.
He said, my favorite band is Hanson.
Unironically.
And I go, ha, ha. And he was like, yeah, I love Hanson. And I was like, you're not kidding, are you? And he was like, no, I mean, I love Hanson.
Mbop. Yeah.
And I
He
was
meant
like,
it.
that's great. That's great. And I could not get the hell out of there fast enough, you guys. Like that. Dating is hard. I'm so glad I'm not dating.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I'm married every day because that's
what you got to do.
That's what you get.
Once again,
Right.
you are so good at perfect segues
Mhm.
because the next talk is about people who are annoyingly into music. And
Oh.
here is what they sound like.
Honestly, right now I'm kind of into Italian glitchcore slut funk. Ooh, right now just kind of a lot of neo-Mesopotamian hyperdonut crunch opera. Yeah, recently kind of a lot of like Family Guy, Pirate Grinder, Electro Jiggle folk wave with sort of a TI-84 nutsack bounce. Yeah, honestly, just a lot of like asexual micro banana proto giraffe style human screams. Yeah, I know it's super mainstream. I know. Yeah.
This is I would end up on a blind date with that guy. And I'd be like, I just like Led Zeppelin. All right. We're not going to work. We're not going to work. Oh my God.
Banana giraffe.
Nuts.
Family Guy scream.
I don't understand what's happening.
Oh my God, I died.
Oh.
Okay, and then lastly, we've got the Irish guy back for a little bit. People have been loving his American accent. And so he put out another video saying, okay, but this is the last time I'm doing this. And it was epic.
I'll fucking do my American impression again. You weren't ready for it to go away. This is an impression of an American getting a divorce. I'm going to cram in as many Americanisms as I can. First, here's an Irish divorce. Here, we're getting a divorce. I'm sick of your fucking shite. Thank God, I've been sick of you for 25 fucking years. Now, here's the American.
Hey, Crystal, what's wrong? You've hardly touched your zucchini noodles. You need some more cilantro? Huh? A letter from our attorney, Bob Schlitzwater. Great guy. I met him in junior high. Crystal, please. We can work this thing out. I can't just let you slip away like you're covered in canola oil. We just had an amazing weekend down on the creek with the RV for spring break. It was 102 Fahrenheit. I took the boys to Walmart and bought them some ammunition. I even got you some Girl Scout cookies. I put it all on my American Express credit card.
Dang it, how can you just frickin' leave all this behind? Our beautiful starter home, a duplex condo in the suburbs? What about our student loans? Oh yeah, real mature, Patty, real mature. Sorry, her name was Crystal. I've accidentally changed it to Patty. I got very passionate. Well, maybe if you didn't spend all our goddamn money on vitamins and ointment and aluminum foil at Walgreens, we wouldn't be in this goddamn mess.
What about our kids? Tanner and Chuck and Bob and Kip and
Tanner.
Timmy and Todd and Ted and Chad and Portia and Dylan, but spelled differently so it's a girl name.
Patty, those are our kids.
There's always a Tanner.
This is our family. Our Mormon family. I'm gonna go down in my man cave in the basement and watch sports with the guys. And yeah, Patty, maybe I'll have a little bit of a break. Okay, that was it. Every American thing in one video. It's fucking done with now. Stay delicious and follow me. I'm
Stay
delicious.
delicious. Stay delicious. He's so
oh my
Irish.
God.
So
I love
Irish.
him so much. Anyway, those were your talks for today. We do
Those are great
have a
talks.
thank you from last week from the Ball Pit crew from Indy Yoder, who said, time to buy a shotgun to take care of that psycho squirrel. You remember the squirrel that like attacked people on the porch? And then even
Yes.
attacked the beagle?
Yes.
Remember? And
Gosh,
so this is obviously someone who listened to us on the radio because he was like, sing it, ladies. And you know what he wants us to sing.
That's
Fire to blast
outside the house. Oh my gosh. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun. Oh my God, I love
You
that
guys remember
song.
that? Do you remember that song? So
my
long
favorite
ago.
song. Also, Kenneth Burke says, good day, chicks. It is my birthday today. I am officially a Beatles song. Can you guess the song by the donation? And his donation was $64.64 and 64 cents.
64.
Will you still
Yeah.
love me? Is that the song?
Will you still love me? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Now you.
Don Ackley. Mike Rowe was born in Baltimore where the Star Spangled Banner was written. I
didn't know that.
Look at that. Some trivia for a Monday. Shorty Short. Seems like AI could do weather forecasting. You know what? That's a great point, Shorty Short.
Ooh.
Yeah, put those people out of
Yeah.
business. Uriel Gonzalez. If an asteroid hit the moon and knocked it out of its Earth orbit, the left and the media would blame Trump. It's true.
Pretty much.
It's very true. Janine Klimt. Thank you. How you are handling this tragedy. Our prayers are with the families. Yes.
Of
I know,
course, they
right.
should
Well,
be.
yes, they should. Robin Dye, our town parade, Black candidate for office walking with Republican Party. Sorry. Spectator yelled, Black Republican, you should be hung.
Oh my
Children heard
God.
that.
What the hell, man? People
Again,
are
with the
so
racism,
gross.
like compartmentalize people like you. And I bet you it was a white person that yelled that too. Some white person saying, this is what you have to be because I get to decide. I'm going to white explain to you what you should be. Racist.
Yeah.
Shelley Ethington, the flyover was amazing. The reason for the fighter jet escorts was so you would hear the stealth bombers coming. That's why they are so lethal. You don't hear them and radar doesn't see them.
God, I just freaking love those machines. I
So
love
cool.
them.
Team Media and Publishing. Regarding the third party thing, I agree, Daisy. If he keeps it up, Musk is going to end up with another black eye. I also agree with Scott B, Scott J. Brrr. Yep. Jennifer, no. That is so generous. Cooper is watching with me. Many amazing people worked to get him to me. Insiders prayed for it to happen. Cooper is in his last days and I can hold him and say goodbye. I was crushed because I couldn't be with them. Why are people good to me? You chicks made it possible. I love you and the fam. Stroke Jen and Cooper. We
That's
love
her
you, Jen.
doggo. I'm
We
so
love you,
glad they're
Jen.
together.
Yep. We're praying for you too, Jen. Arnerm, I said on the day of the first Epstein files release that Pam Bondi is a lying liar who lies. She is proving that to be correct more each day. We shouldn't take this anymore, but you can take my money. Thank you, Arnerm. And she is a lying liar who lies.
It's true, but also, I mean, is Trump to blame? Because like he would not be signing off on this unless he also wanted to keep it quiet.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like,
it makes me wonder, what would Matt Gaetz do?
yeah, like what
would he have
There's no
done?
way that Pam Bondi would do this against Trump's wishes. Like if Trump wanted this out, it would be out. And so there is a coordinated secret being kept by this entire administration. I mean, there's no way around that. You know
I
what
agree
mean?
with that. And it's not okay. Something's
not.
going on and it's not okay. The Great Gatsby. Guess Prince Albert was the victim of a scam when he paid is it Joffrey? Jouffre, I'm sorry. If he only held out, he would still be in the castle. The Great Gatsby. Spell check sucks. Prince Andrew. Yeah, did I say? That's right. You said Albert. Andrew. He's a jerk. Nobody cares. Robin died. Today is Ringo Starr's 85th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Peace and love. I cannot believe he's
85.
Wow. That is
Holy
just
cow.
crazy. You guys, we're bringing it in. We're bringing it in. Everybody have a wonderful Monday. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Hello, beautiful people. This is the Chicks on the Right's Indian correspondent. Thank you for watching or listening. Be very sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of their delicious content. Okay, thank you. Come again.